Citing a website should be easy, right? But then the website has no author, no date, and suddenly you are panicking mid your assignment or your research paper. This has happened to me too many times. This is why in this video, I'm going to show you how to reference a website, have it styled, even the messy ones. My name is Lerato Kanomsa, your academic best friend from All Things Academia, where we explore and explain all things in the academic world. You are probably using tons of websites for your essay or your research papers. I'm talking about news articles, blogs, government pages. But if you don't cite these or reference them correctly, then you will lose lots of marks. So let's fix that. So let's start with the basic structure of referencing a website. By basic, I mean there's an author and there's a date and all the elements that you need to reference their website. So in text, of course, when you cite, it's always the author's surname and the date of publication. That is standard. And if it's a direct quote, only then you will add a page number. I've said this on previous videos. I'm going to repeat saying it in every video because you need to be clear about this. So that's how you cite it in text. Now, when we get to the reference list with a website, you need these elements, and this is how you need to structure them. So firstly, within the reference list, you start with the surname or the last name, depending what part of the world you are in, of the author, comma, the initial, period. Remember, the initial always deserves to be followed by a period, the full stop at the end. Okay. After the initial, you're going to put the year of publication in brackets. And then after that, you're going to put the title of the work that you are citing. So the title of the blog article, or the title of the news article, or the title of the government page that you are citing. Basically, the topic which the website is talking about, followed by a period, available at, colon, the URL of the website, and then you put in brackets, accessed, colon, the day that you've accessed that website. So this is the actual day that you were scrolling around that website and getting the information that you put in the brackets. So that is the basic structure of how to reference a website. So now we're moving on to the missing elements, because sometimes you are scrolling through this website and you find amazing information that you think will be good to use for your essay or your research project, but then there is no author's name, and writing anonymous is so outdated. People, you do this if you literally pressed against the wall and there's nothing else to write, which should not be the case. So what you do when there is no author that is listed that wrote the particular section, segment, or article that you have found in that website, then in that case, you write the organization of that website, all right? So, for example, you are scrolling around a website that is written by the Department of Education and you find some great stuff that you can use. What you do is, instead of the author, then you write the Department of Education, because that is the organization that has published that information on that anonymous author's behalf. When you cite then in your citation, you do cite Department of Education and the year of publication, because the organization has replaced now the author. So when you do the entry in your reference list, you will do it the same way. You just replace the author with Department of Education, which in this case is the organization, and you put the year of publication, and then you put the title or the topic of the article or that report that you are reading, that you are citing, and then available at, of course, the URL and the date in brackets, which you have accessed that information. With the date, remember, when we use books and articles and even sources, when we say the date of publication, we normally put the year, but the access date, you put the day, the month, and the year, all right? Because that's the actual day where you sat around and scrolled around that website. That's the whole date that you put in there. So moving along to a website that has no dates, because trust me, sometimes this happens, and it happens a lot, that you find a website with good information. Perhaps there is no author's name and there is no date of publication. So now you've got two missing elements, and oh my gosh, this can lead to a panic mode. But what you do in this case, like we say, the author's name is replaced by the organization, and the missing date will be replaced by ND, standing for no date, okay? So you need to write ND in the space where you're going to write the date so that the reader can see that there was no date found, that the source was published in or listed. So you've replaced it with ND. So you will cite it the same way, the organization's name, comma, ND, where they're supposed to be the date. And same with the reference list. In the reference list, you'll actually enter the organization name, and then in brackets, where there's supposed to be the date, you put ND. So the ND is actually N period D period, not just ND, like how I'm saying it, but you put the period. Remember, every time I pop this up on screen is so that you see the punctuation. And of course, you can get by downloading the Harvard Referencing Starter Pack that has this for you formatted and with the right punctuation in the right places, so that you use this each time you need to reference a website, okay? So that you see where the punctuation goes, they need to be where they are, okay? So after the date, you will write the title, all right? And of course, you will write the available at, and you'll put the URL. After you've put the URL, you can, in brackets now, put the access date. So yeah, that is basically how you will do it if you've got like these missing elements. So there's a couple of source types that you can find in the internet in forms of websites. The first one is the blogs, okay? So for the blogs, you just treat them like a normal website, like how we did the basic structure, and that's how you're going to cite them. For news articles, then you need to use the journalist as the author, okay? So here you do not want to use the website name or the organization name, but the actual name of the journalist as the author, rather. And then for the PDFs, like the online PDFs, you need to cite the page that they are hosted on and not just the file itself, okay? So let me give a quick example here. You cite the author of that work and the year of publication. Then, of course, you give the title, but then you'll say available at, and you give the URL, and then the access date, just like you would with the website, rather than treating it as a print, okay? This is an online document, so you always need to add the URL to show that, okay? So if you are finding any value in this video so far, please give it a like by clicking the thumbs up down below, and also be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell, because there are going to be more videos that are added in this series. And if you have clicked the notification bell, then YouTube is going to notify you every time I upload a new video for this series. So to close this off, let's talk about some of the common mistakes that students make when they reference websites and that you probably should not do. Okay, so the first one, they copy the long, messy URL with tracking codes. You want to trim the URL down so that you only put the part of the URL that you need to take you to the specific article or page that you got the information, and leave everything else out of it, okay? So you don't want to be those people who have this long URL that reads like a paragraph within a reference list. Do not be one of those people. It's annoying. The other thing is that students leaving out the access date because they think it's not necessary, but it is Harvard law to include the access date. Do not leave it out. The other thing that I can say about the access date is to show the reader when you've accessed this, because with websites, they're unreliable. Sometimes people don't pay their domains or take things down. The page can be removed. The page can be taken down because people did not pay their domain name. And by the time the reader is reading that article that you wrote or that research that you're working on or your essay, the page is now missing from that website. When they go and type the URL and click on it, it goes to a 404 error or some kind of error that the page does not exist, and then it's going to seem like you've made things up. But then when you put the access date, it shows that during this time, this day, that thing was available. I mean, that page was available online at that particular time. What happened 6 weeks after is really none of your business, because we cannot hold those people accountable for paying their domain names and buying their internet space. The third mistake is that students will actually cite the home page of their website and not the page that they got the information from. Do not do this unless the home page is the source where the information came out of. But if not, then you want to click the tab of that particular page or that particular space where the information comes from and take that URL, not the home page, because no one has time to look around for what you have found on that website. Just take us to the direct page. That's all we ask for. Save our time. Anyways, don't forget to like this video and share it with at least 2 or 3 of your friends or colleagues. And also remember that while websites are good for new and cutting edge information in your research and your dissertation or thesis, but they can only make 10% of your work because they're not very credible. Someone can just start a blog and write their opinion, things that they have not researched, things that are not factual, but what they think. So you normally use them in spaces like introduction, where you want to show that whatever you are researching is actually a real life problem or is something that exists and in this way in different contexts, but never as factual because you cannot prove it. I mean, not peer reviewed. 90% of your work should be from peer reviewed sources, and those are articles. And this is why you should click on the video that is appearing on your screen right now. This is the video that is going to show you how to reference peer reviewed sources like journal articles. And in that video, I cover how to reference printed and online journal articles correctly. So what are you waiting for? Click on that video and I will see you there in a few seconds as I project to you love and grace in a way of 2 Corinthians 13 verse 14.